Hey, my little kiddo. So, yesterday was your half birthday, and I made a little video and we had a little cake for you. And today I'm going to keep doing a tradition that's been really important for me. I always wanted to make a video on your birthday of who you were and who you are at this age. And so here we are, 3.5 years old. And I thought it's a good time to have a video in English. I'm sure you'll see this when you're older. And you can listen to me now when you're younger if you want. But I just wanted to spend some time thinking about you and who you are right now and what you like, what makes you happy. Those seem like good topics for a 3.5-year-old. So, let's see. There's so much to say. I started by bringing out a few things that you always really liked. I brought out some costumes. You always really like dressing up at this age. And one of them is this flamenco dress. I got this for you when I was in Cordoba. And when you and me and Mama were on a winter vacation in Spain, you saw your first flamenco show with us. That was in Sevilla. And so you always really liked dancing since then, but there was something about watching the lady dance. I think you were so interested in this woman doing this dance. Even in July, I brought this dress to one of our meetings at the Family Rights House, and you put it on, and I put on some music, but you just wanted to look at the picture of the woman on the phone. On the YouTube video was just a picture of a dancer. And you wanted to see that more than anything. Here's also your mermaid costume. Your mama made it for you. And you really like dressing up as a haufu, as a mermaid. You and I would go to the swimming pool a lot around this age. Of course, I haven't seen you very much. The last 11 months, I've almost not seen you at all. But I still know a fair amount about my little Marlie. So yeah, we used to go swimming a whole lot. And when we would go to the swimming pool up this way at Flintholm, there was a class of girls about 8, 9 years old dressed up as mermaids. They had mermaid swimsuits. I remember one day after we left the swimming pool, we stayed for like 10 minutes watching these mermaid girls swim. I started getting worried you were going to get too cold, and you were still so interested standing there, soaking wet after we'd come out of the pool. I guess maybe we almost dried off watching them. But ever since then, you'd already been interested, but ever since then you started dressing up a lot. That was one of our games. Here at home, you'd swim on the floor all the way from one side, where I'm sitting on the couch, all the way to where your red play kitchen is. And you could pull yourself across the floor, just so happy. The whole floor here was the sea for you. Sometimes we put out like a little green blanket, or there used to be a big brown table, kind of like an island. And you'd crawl up on these different things and, rest and then jump back into the water. So playing dress up seemed to always be fun for you. You still seem to really like clothes and all the different things you can dress with. I never expected this. I think your mama neither expected it either. And you used to say all the time, "What's your favorite color?" And you would say, "Elefau." So you liked all the colors. And I know I put a lot of attention on making sure you could have all the colors, that you could have big, bright colors. And that seemed to be your favorite. Even in July, it's October now. In July, you'd come to the family house and you'd talk about all the colors because you'd learn to name them. So that's a new thing. Somewhere in the summer, you learned to name all the colors and you could point them out for me. And you'd say they're all your favorite, and this is your favorite, and this is your favorite. And I'd tell you that green or blue is usually my favorite. And you'd say, you like all the colors, they're your favorite. The last time I saw you, you said pink was your favorite. And Bestamore has really put in some energy making sure that you're allowed to like pink. I think she thought maybe we were pushing you away from pink, so she kind of pushed you even more towards it. And I don't know if that will stick, but here in October you told me that pink was your favorite color. About food, what do you like eating? Apparently you like avocado. When we meet at the family house, I bring you avocado and cheese sandwiches. And the last 2 times you've been so much interested in them that you're not interested in any of the other food you have. You still love smoothies. You're almost crazy for smoothies. And about berries, you've switched. You were a blueberry girl for a long time. We used to say you had blueberry eyes. It was something I'd noticed. Which, by the way, your grandfather, my father, seems to have the exact same eyes as you. These big, bright, light blue eyes. And we'd gone walking in Poland. This is where you learn to walk, up in the mountains. And we ate a lot of wild blueberries there. You always really like blueberries, but this year it's raspberries. There's no question. A few times I brought you raspberries, and you tell me stories about it right away. That sometimes Mama lets you eat a lot of raspberries, and if there's not raspberries to eat, there's whole conversations you have about this. And then she'll find some blueberries or something for you to eat, or find another time to go buy you raspberries. You love them. You and I always had a little rule, say 1 at a time, so that you can actually taste them. Of course, sometimes when you're really excited, I could see how much you're excited about it, and we'd let it go. And you'd put 3, 4, 5 in your mouth at the same time, with a big look on your face like, am I allowed to do it? And yeah, of course, go ahead. And you do, yum, 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 yum. Be crazy for your raspberries. And then sometimes I'd try and have you have them 1 at a time. And the last time we saw each other at family house, I had some raspberries with you for your half-birthday celebration. And you went through them one, faster, faster, faster. So much happiness on your face. And then you told me about raspberries at home, and you told me about the blueberries that I had there too, that they're nice, they're good, you do like them. But himbeer is what you like the most. I don't know what else you eat. You told me you're a vegetar the last time we met. And I have to be honest, I'm a little worried about what you eat at this age, Marlie. But it's not really your choice. And I guess the things you eat, it's just your preferences. I'd love to see you eating more stuff and some protein and some things to help you grow. But from what I know, you don't mind wobble with smørreost, and you eat a lot of berries, and you like smoothies. And it seems you eat a lot of vegetables, so you're probably getting some good stuff there. And what other things do we like doing, you and me? I told you we went to the swimming pool a lot. In the time, October last year, so it's October this year. October last year, goodness me, we went swimming a lot. And you could swim forever. You'd been afraid of the pool for some reason. I don't know what happened. About 6 months before, you'd gotten a little bit afraid of swimming. There'd been a few visits you had, I think, with the babysitter or with Mama, and after that you were frightened. Just a little bit. But you wanted to always be really close to us when you went, and you didn't really swim on your own. But in October last year, man, you started swimming on your own. We were here in Frederiksberg, in the warm pool, which is, for you, it was about up to your shoulders if you stood up. And I let you just walk around in the swimming pool. You'd walk and walk and walk and walk, and there were the bigger kids swimming. And you started trying to swim like them, so you'd lean forward and you moved your arms on your own. And you could really almost do it. So I let you go on your own quite a lot. I was next to you, making sure I was there for you. But you started almost swimming. And so if I took just a little bit of weight under your belly, you could do it, just with a little bit of support from my hand. And you were swimming through the water. You started climbing up onto the edge of the pool and then jumping in so you could feel the big splash. And I guess it got your arms going, so you'd splash with that speed and you'd wave your arms, and you could really swim on your own for 1 or 2 little links. You were so happy about it. There was one day we spent 3 hours at the pool. Usually it was 45 minutes or an hour before you were ready to go. This was 3 hours. You just kept swimming and swimming and swimming. So proud of it. So proud. And the next day you showed us here on the floor how you did it. You even showed us how you jumped into the pool, and it scared the heck out of us because you jumped off a chair onto the ground. And you're still so proud of what you could do. And watching you swim, that was a pretty cool thing. You and I would also play a game in the pool where we got a little floating island. Well, just one of these plastic floating things. And I think it helped get you over the fear of whatever swimming fear you had. So we'd done that 2, maybe 3 times. And you'd float on that with me there, and then I'd let you put your feet in on the end, and you'd kick the little island around. And then you'd lean over the other end like a mermaid, you'd say, and play with your hands. And more and more and more, you'd put your body into the water, and then we'd flood the island a little bit so there was water around you, and you'd splash in it. And then we could switch to me picking you and throwing you up into the air. And each time you'd ask, higher, Papa, higher. And I'd throw you higher and higher. It got really high eventually. And you'd be laughing with it. Asking again, more and more, Papa, throw me again, throw me again. Because it was so safe, I guess. You know, up you go and we just land in the water. I'd be there to catch you. Your body would come into the water. At a certain point, I decided it was time for you to have a break. And I'd put you on the little island. And then you could swim around on the island again, and then we'd toss again. We'd done that 2 times for sure. I think it was the 3rd day we'd been playing that game, and then we went into the warm pool. You started swimming on your own. That was October 2019, so you're about 2.5 years old. I thought it was pretty early. You also love bicycles. You and I used to go to Lindevang's in here. It's not so far away. And they had a miraculous, so a place where people, had a little hut open where you could come and color and do different crafts. But they also had loads of little bicycles and tricycles and just kick cycles for kids. And anytime you heard that was open, whoa, we had plans for the day. You want to go there. We'd dress up warm and we'd go out there. And you'd push around on all the different bicycles. Ooh. We still live across from the hospital. If you remember, you probably hear the siren outside. This is, worth saying, just for memory's sake. This is the house at Noordhof Huseinbai. This is the house where you grew up. And Papa still lives here now. So we'd go to the Leiples and you'd push around on all the bikes. Using the pedals, you wanted to do it, but they were just a little too far away. If I gave a push, you could get a little bit of speed, but you wanted to do it on your own. And then if you went on your own, you couldn't get it going, so you weren't always very satisfied with that. And he'd switch to the little kick bikes where you could just run around, and he loved those. If we saw them on the street somewhere, you'd stop and talk about them. Well, those were great. And I learned that over the summer, apparently, you've learned how to use the pedals on a bike. And you told me about that in July when we met. And you talked about how Mama was very proud of you. And that det var godt klar. Well, you're doing a good job learning how to bicycle and be a big girl. You've told me a few times, last time we saw each other, that you're a big girl now. And you're proud of it. And you also talk about how big you are. You have big long legs. And it's because you're 3.5 years old. You're also at that age where if you ask how old you are, you usually show your hand like this. How old are you? That many. You've just learned. And it's funny, it's not this or this. It's always like this kind of shape. You learn that this means 3. It's so great always hearing your stories. You and I used to sit on the couch a lot here. I picked out a few books I'll show you later that you like. We used to sit on the couch. We could read any book. We get lots of books from the library, lots of books from your bookshelf over there. You see how down on the bottom there's even space for you. just above where your pot is still sitting. And you had your bookshelves you would go to. Man, Marley, you would pick any book there, some of them really big. We were reading some books that were probably written for 6-year-olds, and you were so interested in the story. And we'd sit, you and I, if it was a book you knew really well, we'd make up the story. I always read you the story based off the pictures more than the words. And so sometimes we'd change the story around. For example, Mary and her little lamb. I'd always tell you about that one that was about a little lamb who really wanted to go to school to learn mathematics, because that's what the pictures look like. There's always this lamb looking in at the school, and there's math on the board, and the kids are all looking at the lamb. And I think we just thought it was more interesting. There were some books that your mama and your bestimor thought were a little too old-fashioned, and they didn't like the message so much. And it got me thinking, and Mary and her little lamb, I thought it could have an update too. So I told you the story, usually about a lamb that wanted to go to school and learn math. And sometimes she built spaceships and became an engineering rocket scientist lamb and would fly up into the stars and the moon. And other times she'd do different engineering projects, or other times she became a professor, or other times she just taught all the kids. And sometimes she just liked math, and then the kids would go out and play. So that's a little example. We'd often read books, and sometimes we'd read it with the words, and sometimes I give you a summary of the words, and sometimes we change the story entirely. We make different stories, and you started telling stories to us. I remember sitting in the car with you a year ago. We were trading stories. You'd say, "Papa, Mama, tell us a story about when you were a little girl or when you were a little boy." And we would. And then you'd tell us a story about when you were a little girl or when you were a little boy. And it would usually start somewhere from a story that had happened. And then sometimes you'd even make up stories, like reflecting what you'd heard from our story. It was amazing for a 2.5-year-old, hearing you come up with stories of what happened when you were a little girl. And sometimes it was something exactly like it happened from a long time ago. 6 months, 8 months. It was amazing. You were 30 months old, and you're telling stories from things that had happened 8 months ago, and you remembered them crystal clear. I was always so impressed by that. The last few times we've met at Family Rights House, you're a lot faster with books. You don't sit with them. Like I said, you and I used to sit for 10, 20, 25 minutes reading one book. We're reading one from the guy who made the Mimbo Jimbo books. And he made one about a giant pear that turns into a sailing ship. Really neat story, but for 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds. And it took us 2 or 3 sit-downs, but we read the whole thing. It's huge. You follow the pictures and you're interested, and you and I would sit so sweet together. You just sit right next to me on the couch, right here, next to my leg. Sometimes I'd have my arm around you with the book between us. Sometimes your feet would come up on my leg. And sometimes if we were reading for a long time, we'd just sit there, leg to leg, side to side, arm to arm. And you'd point at the pictures, and I'd point at the pictures, and you'd ask me about things, and I'd tell you what was there in the story. You could sit like that, like I said, for 20, 25 minutes going through a book. Now when I meet with you, you're really fast. You want smaller books, and you go through just the pictures. Sometimes it seems like it's just about turning to the next page. It takes a bit of energy from me to stop and look at some of the pictures. And we don't speak English. We speak Danish at Family Rights House. And I don't think you're getting your English trained at home. And frankly, you seem a little afraid of English. I don't know if it reminds you of the past, and the past looks like a difficult place. I understand. I think it would be hard to remember back to our family splitting apart. It's hard for us, and you're a little kid. Oh, it looks like you're doing something probably pretty smart to keep yourself safe. So you don't really look like you remember back to those times. When I speak in English, you usually look away, which used to be a sign if we were reading a scary book, that there was something a little scary and you didn't really want to face it. And I know you don't speak English at home. That's what I've been told. So I speak Danish with you. And I try not to do things that'll scare you by reminding you of the family separating, or when we first started meeting at Family Rights House, I wanted to tell you about things we used to do. I made a picture book of you and me together, memories from the past. And we talk about things that you and I did together. For example, going for night walks in the wrapped up on me. And you do the same thing of looking away, and I can see it's hard for you. And when we talk about your memories, they don't go back more than like a week or so, it seems. So when we meet now, I focus on talking on the present, and I don't talk about the past. At first I thought it would make you feel stronger, knowing that your Papa's still with you, and your Papa was with you, and your Papa remembers the past, and Papa's here with you in the present. But like I said, what I understand is the past is scary. In the past, all of a sudden you moved house and Papa was not there and you were in a new space, and I think that would be really hard on a 2.5-year-old. So, like I said, it looks like you've sort of just put a space there. You don't go back to those memories. When I showed you the picture book I made, you looked at 1, 2. You really liked seeing the pictures of you and your cousin, but even seeing the pictures of you with your grandpa was a bit too much, it looked like. And I understand again, those are hard emotions for a little kid to have. Missing people or not understanding where they've gone. So, you do have the book at home. I don't know if you use it. I gave you a little wolf that I'd carried around in my pocket for a long time. Your mom had made it for me originally, when I traveled, that I could have my little wolf in my pocket. It's when you were still in Mama's belly, when Mama was pregnant. I don't know what age you're watching this at, so still in Mama's belly sounds kind of funny, but when you were still in utero, I had that little wolf to remember that, back home in Copenhagen, my child was there. My baby was soon to be born. So after the separation, I carried that little wolf around with me quite a lot. And I gave it to you on the second time we met in July. I don't know if it's still at home. But the wolf was there for the same reason, that to remind you that Papa's always here with you. And if you ever wanted to tell Papa something, you could tell the little wolf. And so I hope that you still feel that way, that I'm always here with you. I try and talk about those things. I just try and be in the present with you and talk about what you like, what you're interested in. A year ago, you used to love going for night walks. After we went to Canada, you'd been so interested in Vancouver and maybe from New York also. But especially in Vancouver, of seeing the big bright buildings at night. You were fascinated. And just wanted to go out. Even if I went to the supermarket at night, you asked to come so that you could be in the wrap and look up at these lights that for you must have never ended, just went straight into the sky. And when we came back to Copenhagen, you still wanted to go for those night walks. That felt really special, a really close thing for you and me. Feeling you warm and close in the wrap. We'd always make a deal that you could look at anything you wanted for the first 5 minutes or so. And when I felt your head start to get tired, I'd say, okay, well, you have to pick a side. Which side do you want to look at? And we'd tuck your head inside the wrap. And I'd help hold it there and keep you warm. And say you could keep looking at things however much you want. But I was just there to help keep your head up, keep you warm. And I'd start to sing a song or just hum a hum. A bit like stories. I used to always just make up songs for you. Any old song. And you'd usually fall asleep there pretty fast, trying to keep your eyes open. But I always felt so close with you, Marlie. The second to last night that we had together before the separation was a night walk like that. And it was really sweet. A really charming little kid. I see the video's almost at 25 minutes. I guess that's fine. I was thinking about this recently. You know, I've been setting time limits on how long I can interact with you because, frankly, your mother keeps setting time limits on how long I can interact with you. And maybe I don't have to do that to myself. I really love interacting with you, Marlie. You're the light in my heart. You're the gem in my eyes. You are just the most important thing in the world for me. And it's lovely thinking about you. It's lovely talking to you. And making these videos for you to have. I think about you so much every day, and today's a special pleasure that I can give myself the time to make a 30-minute video for you, thinking of you on your birthday. I said I'd show you some books. Maybe that's a good way. One of the books you really liked was Calvin and Hobbes. We used to read this one a lot, and it was really fun because the pictures are so great, and you can really make up a lot of things. Some of the things that are here, they're funny and they're interesting, but even a 2.5-year-old wouldn't quite follow the joke or the story, so we really had to make the story up. This was one of your favorite pages. There was Hobbes the tiger and Calvin the little boy. And these pages, Calvin turns into a little tiger too. You really like coming back to these. This was about the same age that you really started loving dressing up as a tiger. And I really do think Calvin and Hobbes might have been where you got the idea from. You'd like dressing up as a giraffe. And when we went face painting together at the zoo, you and I did a tiger once, and you'd done a few different animals face painting at the zoo. You love animals. That's a whole other story. But tigers have always been your favorite the last year, or the giraffe. The tiger, I feel like, came from Calvin and Hobbes. You and I used to also play a lot of Winnie the Pooh. I wanted you to have a few stories that other kids would know, places you could connect with other kids. And we stayed away from Disney. It was everywhere. But Winnie the Pooh was so special, and it's another thing that other people know and love, and I thought it might be nice for you to connect with other kids about Winnie the Pooh. So you and I read a lot of Winnie the Pooh, and I'll tell you about those books in a sec. You and I read a lot of Winnie the Pooh, and I'd even show you little clips, about a minute and a bit long on YouTube, little bits of, yeah, sure, the Disney version of Winnie the Pooh. And we'd play the games, especially Pooh Sticks, where Eeyore floats down the river. And man, we played that game sometimes for like a whole hour. And it's just 30 seconds. If one of us would lie down on the ground and scoot down the river, and then one of us would drop something soft, usually some sort of little toy, like a stuffed animal. And it would be the stone that Winnie the Pooh had dropped on Eeyore. And then we'd go splash, boom, boom, boom. And we'd roll over and get up and dry off. And then switch. The other one would become Eeyore going down the river. We also marched around like elephants a little bit from Jungle Book. You liked that one. And sometimes we'd be Baloo the bear from Jungle Book. And we'd do a big dance and rub our backs against trees, which was just the wall. And it was one of the cutest things of that time, was watching you come up against a wall and like your small body try and rub your back up and down, and you could see strong legs, but it took a lot of energy for you to bounce up and down. That was always really fun. But Winnie the Pooh was the one we came back to. There were 2 or 3 stories you liked. Winnie the Pooh going to Owl's house to have tea on a stormy, stormy day. Pooh Sticks. And then just Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin sitting on the hilltop and talking. We'd read that one, you and me sitting on the couch, side by side, just like Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh, just talking. The other books down here are the Moomy Trolls. There they are. And Cheburashka, which your Auntie Alia had gotten, because she knew how cute I thought Cheburashka was, and the story's a good one. And so you had a Cheburashka doll. Once or twice Mama put it away, and then we'd find the book again, and then we'd bring Cheburashka back out. And that one you really, really liked. You like Crocodile Genie and Cheburashka. They're good friends. There's a good story. And Moomy we read. You really loved Moomy, but it was more just them. The stories were a little too complex for a 2.5-year-old. But you loved the pictures and you loved Moomy. And we even got some little figurines I found for you. I have them over in the bag. I bring them to Family House. Still waiting for the right moment to bring them out. See how you feel about them. Like I said, it's this very fine line when we meet of I try not to bring up too much from the past because it feels like the past is a scary place for you, where a lot of unknown things happened and all of a sudden your family changed. Actually, your family broke. And it makes sense to me that a little kid wouldn't let her feelings go there and wouldn't let her thoughts go there. So I try and stay focused with you in the present. We play games and we draw drawings. I'll show you your drawing wall, and that's a good grand finale for your half-birthday video. Half hour or so. Here's your drawing wall. I show it in a few other videos too. Lots of things up here. Oh, we draw, we talk, and we still read. You still love reading. You come up to these little plastic bags and bring them with me. And you know that that yellow bag is full of things that Papa has for you. The white bag is usually in my backpack with lots of games or toys or stuff. But the yellow bag's books. And even if we read the books fast, you still go up to it and you go through 6, 7, 8 of them. There's one about a bear called Amadeus. And they have little magnet clothes that you can put on the pictures of Amadeus and his friends. And you love taking that out. Taking out the magnets and helping them get dressed. You're always so good at helping other people, Marlie. You're really good when you take care of other kids. And your heart is so sensitive and full. You even try to take care of us, which you shouldn't have to do. But you really are a caring, loving little being. So, I guess, to wrap up this video, if I was putting you to bed, we'd usually bounce, and like I said, I'd make up a song for you. And I'd usually just get inspired by what we'd done, or what you were doing, or the sounds you were making. But the one song that I could use sort of from my own memory was the It's Okay song. It was really good for you sometimes when you got scared or upset or just didn't want to go to bed. This little song would be something like this. Just bouncing, going like, it's okay, my little Marley bar. I say, it's